Are you ready for day 5?
I'm ready for day 5. I can't believe it's day 5. Today we're talking about nitrates, nitrites, and processed meat, and protein.
Okay.
Okay? Do you eat processed meat?
I try not to. It's hard to avoid it.
It is so hard to avoid it. So let's start in the deli. Let's start with, oh, I wish I were an Oscar Mayer wiener. That is what I truly like to be. Or not.
Or not.
Or not. Or, what was the song they had about B-O-L-A-G-N-A, bologna? I loved bologna sandwiches as a kid on my white gummy bread. But we don't eat bologna, we don't eat salami, we don't eat pepperoni, we don't eat summer sausage anymore, we don't eat bacon that has nitrates in it or nitrites. We don't eat those things anymore. We make our own bacon, or we buy uncured bacon. Here is a spoiler. When you go to buy uncured bacon and think you're doing everything right, some of the bacon is still processed in what's called a celery or celery salt instead. Both the nitrates, the nitrites, the pink salt, not our pink Himalayan salt, but the special pink salt that they do all of the curing it with, and the celery, both of them, if you cook your meat at high temperatures, can cause cancer. That's
what the studies are finding.
That's what the bottom line is with this. So when you're cooking any of these kind of meats, you want to cook them low and slow.
Low and slow.
And then it's okay. It's not going to hurt you.
And for those of you who are real meat cookers, you understand the low and slow gets a much tastier meat. It's just a better eat. It's more tender when you do it that way. It's people who cook that way are happier with it, but it's also healthier.
So we have a set of family members, and their favorite thing to do, and we loved it when we would go on picnics, is we would take long bread baguettes and cheese, brie cheese, and summer sausage. And we cut the summer sausage into tiny little pieces, and we just sit there and spread it and eat it and spread it and eat it. And they've changed completely. They don't do that anymore. Even the kids go, we can't have the sausage anymore because it's not good for us.
And they didn't get that from us.
No, they didn't.
Doing their own research.
They didn't. So just be really careful. Processed meats are full of so many preservatives. It's, ugh. So
read the labels.
The next thing we want to talk about is a very controversial subject, and we did have one of our viewers a couple of months ago who kind of laid into us on this subject. And I did some research, and I thought, well, he may be right. So let me share some of that. We're going to talk about meat that's not grass-fed, that's not pasture-raised, that might come from a CAFO, where majority of the meat comes from. Antibiotics and glyphosates and all of that they eat, and that kind of stuff, right? Hormones. His argument was that the government doesn't allow them to sell it unless it's a certain level.
Below a certain
level. And dairy cows, their milk couldn't come out at all if it had any traces of antibiotics in it. And so, I don't know. I'm not going to argue about that. I just know what choices we have made. We have chosen to raise our own meat. And if we can't raise our own meat, we look the farmer. What do we do, Jim?
Well, we talk to them. We understand how they've raised it, what they've fed it, how the animal's been, where it's been, what it's been, how it's been treated, just the whole thing. Do they do it the way that we would be comfortable doing it?
And just because somebody pasture raises, I mean, our greatest hero, Joel Salatin, he doesn't use organic feed. That's no
mostly
revelation.
they're out on the pasture.
Most of they're out there, no, but they still eat the other. Why is organic feed important to us for pasture-raised animals? We even have to go a step further and find organic feed that doesn't have soy in it, so that I'm not getting any soy in my body. And that's expensive, very expensive, like at least double the price for feed. But those are things we look for. So we only eat pasture-raised, grass-fed, soy-free, organic-fed meat, right?
Yeah.
We can go to the store. When we lived in Missouri, they had Aldi's there, and Aldi's had amazing organic food. And they would have organic, like apple sausage and stuff like that. Sprouts makes their own sausage, nitrate free. And I love that. I mean, I love being able to go and, I'll take an apple maple one and this and that and da 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 da. Last year at the Homesteaders of America conference, Meg and Ben and I went to the grocery store to be able to find food.
Is that Megan Ben Holler?
Megan Ben Holler, yes. And we went to Walmart because we know that Walmart carries grass-fed beef hamburger. They didn't. And they're like, well, we don't carry that. And Ben and Meg said, all Walmarts are supposed to carry that. And thankfully they do here. We find them here. So anyway, just look and be aware of that meat that you're putting into your body. Eat it sparingly. You don't have to have meat with every meal.
You don't have to have large quantities of meat.
Right, just tiny little. Like we made bean burritos yesterday, you and I, with an organic flour tortilla. And I had tiny pieces of an elk steak. Like 2 pieces like this, just cut into tiny pieces and mixed in with a whole bunch of beans and put out for several people to eat it. So we didn't have this huge amount of meat. Your body doesn't need it all the time. You definitely can use it.
This time of year when it's so cold, maybe a bit more.
We have children who are vegetarian. We totally respect that. And that said, I'm going to tell you 10 items that you can get protein in that isn't meat. Now, it's not complete protein. You know, you have to combine different things. But my son keeps saying, Mom, vegetables have lots of protein in them.
Some of the vegetables that have protein in them are going to be kale, sprouts.
Well, your lentil sprouts. They have like 7 grams in a cup. It's a lot.
Wow.
Yeah. Peas have them in it, and arugula, and mushrooms. You're a mushroom person.
I am. I like mushrooms.
I'm not so much a mushroom person. I like it. I tolerate it.
Artichokes, asparagus.
Yep. So, branch out. Don't think, oh, I have to eat a meat, or I have to eat cheese or eggs. You don't have to have an animal product all the time to be able to get some of your protein. You just need to make sure that you're combining and mixing, rice and beans. Quinoa, of course, is a complete protein. So,
and an important point with that, if you have children or friends who are choosing to be vegetarian and they haven't researched enough to understand the absolute need for protein, they need to understand that when they're going to eat their vegetables, they need to make certain that they are getting the proteins from the vegetables that have them, and not just eating the proteins that have few, if any,
Right.
proteins.
Right. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of, to clean out your cupboard. Today we're talking about any of your processed meats like that. Does that mean we never go to the deli? No. I can go and get boar's head meat, but not all of it. You have to look at it and ask them, I need your nitrate free, I need your naturally processed. And I would like to say one thing that one of our viewers reminded me of. When you're looking at your ingredient list, if it says natural flavorings, that is almost always some type of an MSG. So you don't want it to have
Natural may not be a good
natural
word.
flavorings either. So I know it's so important that we look at those labels and ask questions. If you go to a deli market and ask them for a nitrate-free meat or ham or turkey or something like that, and they go, what? And you are the one that has to pick up their meat and show them, they're not the ones to ask, because they should know. They should know. It's very important. So your body will be healthy by eating a huge variety of protein, but don't fill it full of processed meat with all of those preservatives and things that can cause our bodies to have cancer. This is day 5. Thank you for joining us. The next 3 days are some emotional wellness and fitness. Bye-bye.
Bye.